All right, welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. I'm Andrew Colbert, executive producer of this show, joined by Mikey McCoy, who is the chief of staff of Turning Point, and Joe Bob Tai Lei Fee.
There you go. You got it.
He didn't want me to use his last name because it's a hard one.
Well, and also the first name is weird enough. You don't need to confuse the audience doubly here.
All right, we're going to welcome on a real comedian here.
Wow. Wow.
Yes, it's true. His name is Rob Schneider. He headlined our UC Berkeley event, which all chaos broke loose at that. And you were actually there.
I was there.
As well. So we're going to have a great conversation. Rob, welcome to the Charlie Kirk Show. So honored to have you, my friend.
Well, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here, and I was very honored to be at the event at Berkeley, at the riot. I mean the USA riot. I mean the event riot, the Antifa celebration. Well, I said to Charlie, let's go to some more and do some more universities. And I said, let's go to let's take me to the craziest one. And it was his idea. So well, let's go to Berkeley. And I went yeah. And then I had to go to Berkeley alone. That was Charlie's final practical joke on me. Yeah, and so the great Frank Turek was there, and he a tremendous human being. I mean, when when I heard that was a beautiful speech that he gave at Charlie's memorial, which is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in American history, the memorial. It was so touching and beautiful. It was such an expression of light and love and true friendship. And to meet him in person was really humbling. And also I brought with me, because I said, I can't do this on my own. I mean, the Charlie's irreplaceable, as everyone knows. So I brought along some professors. One doctor from Oxford was Dr. Andrew Doyle, and then a professor Professor Peter Boghossian, who wrote the book How to Have Difficult Conversations and Almost Impossible Conversations. And it was great. I mean, it was really good. I mean, it was a scary moment. As you guys saw, the people, they call them anti-fascists, but they seemed to be the one fighting. And they were throwing these explosive devices to make it sound like it was gunshots. These are really creepy, horrible people. And they're obviously paid agitators, because a lot of them, they didn't seem like they were Cal Berkeley students. But the silence from the left, from Governor Newsom, is deafening. Where are they? Where is the people that are opposing violence? Where are they? They're not there, because I would think they must approve it, because it's leftist violence, so it supports their cause. So that it's a real testament to where the left is at. Whereas violence from the left, I mean, it's almost like we're in a cold civil war. We are in a cold civil war with only one side shooting. So that's where we're at. But yesterday, I mean, I have to admit, the police at Berkeley, they did a good job. But however, they still did not allow, and they allowed these domestic terrorists, because that's what they are. You're trying to scare people and intimidate them with tear gas, with things that sound like gunfire, with rattling and preventing people from entering, and intimidation. That is terrorism. That's domestic terrorism. And why that is not being a priority from the state of California? They're just silent today, the supermajority of Democrats. So I don't know what to say. So here we have the scariest moment was, thankfully, we got in there 3 hours early so that we didn't have to be confronted by that. But how about the kids, the courageous Turning Point USA Berkeley kids who still went, despite all the tear gas and these leftist lunatics who are violently, I mean, talk about, here's what happened outside. You got agitators, you have, they're screaming, they have very disgusting signs, despicable signs about Charlie Kirk that I won't even repeat. And then you have, and then they're yelling and intimidating and fighting and violence and tear gas. And inside, you have people talking about how much they love America, family, God, and how much they love freedom of speech. And they are the anti-fascists calling us fascists. And I would just say to your listeners, I think we all know who the real fascists are. Fascists are the ones that stop conversation, that don't want dialogue, that are using violence to suppress other people's liberties. And silence them. And those are the real definition of fascism.
Well, I think you said it really, really well, Rob, in this speech that you gave. Let's go ahead and play 146, just to give the audience a little taste of what it was like inside the room. 146.
If we are going to have a vibrant society and continue to be the largest economy, the most technologically advanced society in the world, we must protect free speech and debate. We cannot afford to continue people having beliefs persist that are not subject to facts or logic or empirical evidence. And anyone who presents empirical evidence to the contrary gets shut down, censored, and subject to violence on the university campus. This has to stop.
Yeah, and what we're talking about here is really the heckler's veto, right? But it's become the assassin's veto, where they want to shut us up. They want us to keep us from doing these events. And I'm so glad guys like you and Joe Bob still have the courage to go do them, and our students, our brave staff. How has this event and the aftermath and all the the violence that we saw, how has this personally impacted you, Rob? Has it changed your view on things at all?
Well, it made me throw out the script and just talk about the emotion of the moment, and to really to meet these courageous students at Berkeley who had the courage to show up and risk themselves and their and to risk their their bodily harm to attend this event, to express their freedom. Because freedom of speech, Andrew, as you know, it's not just the ability for someone to say and express their point of view. And free speech is all speech, not just the speech that the government likes or that the regents or the academics, the leftist academics of Cal Berkeley like. Free speech is all speech. And if it means anything, it also means the right to hear somebody else's free speech. If we silence free speech, you're also not just silencing the speaker, you're also silencing the rights of the listener. And that's something that is really important. At one point yesterday, the Berkeley police, ran into our room where we were in the green room, and they just went right by us, didn't say hi or anything. And it was, a frightening little moment. And they went right into the electrical room and looked, because they were thinking that maybe people could get through that way. And I asked them, and I said to the Berkeley police officers, I said, can you help the people come in? Because we had sold this event. We could have sold it out 6,000 tickets. We had to stop at 2,000 because that's all the leftists, anti-free speech academics and faculty and Board of Regents would let us have. And they still allowed these leftists, the liberals, illegally able to get tickets, knowing so to prevent those seats from being filled with.
Rob, I have insider info on that, and maybe Joe Bob, you have some on that as well. But what they did 2 weeks before the event, they made a switch over to the school's ticketing system. They open up the ticketing knowing that all the agitators and protesters are alerted to that, so they can scoop up tickets, leave the seats empty. We had thousands of people that actually were still in line or wanted to get in line that ultimately scattered when the car started backfiring and the bombs started going off and the fireworks. And so they were intentionally sabotaging this event. Joe Bob, you saw this up close.
Well, yeah, and also, too, just a 30,000-foot view, the idea that you're going to get tickets and then not show up is, like, comical. Well, what better way to say, hey, my ideas suck and I don't want to defend them, to not actually show up to the event that you got tickets for and just leave the seats empty?
Well, and we had, just so you know, what we usually do is we have a big line of standbys, Rob, where if people don't show up and claim their tickets, the standby line then gets an opportunity to come fill those seats. And we had thousands that wanted to hear from you and Frank Turek and Peter Boghossian. I mean, this is deep blue Berkeley, and there was thousands, and they cannot let that visual get out into the world. They cannot afford it. They're too fragile. We're gonna keep you for just a few more minutes in the break. We're gonna take a break from radio. More with Rob Schneider in about 5 seconds. All right, welcome back, everybody, for streaming and podcasting. Mikey McCoy, you probably went to more campus stops with Charlie than anybody. Well, Joe Bob, darn it, maybe you did.
Mikey beat me by a mile.
Because, but you were doing all the openings. I mean, Rob was here for a crazy one. Rob, you're never going to be the same. Once you go through one of the crazy ones, you're never the same. Mikey, tell us, give us your POV on all this.
Yeah, well, first off, it's been 2 months since Utah, and this is the left and their proclivity for violence time and again, and that 2 months after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, you're going to show up at a Turning Point USA event, threaten our attendees, attack our attendees, spit in the face of old ladies coming to peacefully gather at this event to listen to Dr. Frank Turek and Rob Schneider, who are very threatening people. These are very threatening people. And so we need the full battalions of Antifa to come out to stop this. But then all the while this is happening, we knew this event was coming up. Gavin Newsom knew this event was coming up, but he's out in Brazil LARPing as the president of the United States and also just pretending to be something he's not. He can't get his act together. And I'm supposed to believe that Gavin Newsom just turned a blind eye to Antifa. This is the same Gavin Newsom that stopped ICE agents and federal agents from coming into California, but can't stop Antifa from attacking our attendees at our event. I want justice for this. I'm not going to turn a blind eye to this. Yeah. I want to find out who's paying these Antifa people. I want to find out who they are. I want every single one of them arrested who have broken a law. I want justice for this. I am upset. I am mad. This has been 2 months after this happened, and I do not want Antifa at our events like this.
Yeah. Rob, what's your take on that?
I wish you would have been with me on Fox News this morning. You said way better than anything I said this morning. No, I think what we have to do is we need to have accountability. We need to find out who's funding this, because there were people there that are paid agitators. And these are domestic terrorists. I mean, it's the very definition of what terrorism is. It's frightening other people. These are American students. These are people at a university, and they have their rights. And these rights, their civil rights are being impeded when you are preventing them from doing their expression of free speech, which is the ability to not just talk, but to hear. And that is a blatant violation of civil rights violation. And somebody needs to be held accountable. Absolutely. Well, now, as far as
go ahead.
Our response has to be as a reflection of God's light. And that's what Charlie was. And that's what I was so humbled when I was at university with Charlie, because he was there for the love of these kids, because he knew where the future was. He knew that if we lose these kids, we lose everything. And we have to have these kids. And so while the left wants to silence us, it just makes us, I mean, look at all the publicity from yesterday. I think it's pretty obvious to anybody who is not, in a political echo chamber of MSNBC and the illiberal left, who the real fascists are. We love America and the love of country, and they try to group us into some sort of weird nationalistic negativity. Well, nationalism in its expansion is negative. That's true. But nationalism, when your country is under threat, is necessary. We have to love our country and protect our country. So in that sense, this is a healthy nationalism, and supporting our kids, young people, to be able to express themselves and to hear opposing viewpoints. And the University of Berkeley has proven themselves to be the shamefully anti-free speech. And for the university that really spoke to and started the university free speech movement for all speech, not just, they specifically said not left or right, but for all speech, it is an absolute shame on that university. And historians will look back at this moment as the most shameful moment in the history of the University of Berkeley, and that's saying a lot.
Well, guess what, Rob? They couldn't stop us. They couldn't stop you. They couldn't stop our students. So let's just give a little taste of what actually the inside of that auditorium looked like. 170. So, Rob Schneider, thank you for your time. I know you got a dash. You're a busy man, but thank you again for your courage, your bravery, your willingness to step forward and serve the country, to serve our students, and to serve Turning Point USA. You're a good man and a great patriot. We thank you.
It was an honor to be here, and I will tell you that, it really was that empty chair next to me, which broke my heart. And I want to send my love out to Erica and to all the people at Turning Point USA, where it will always feel like it's Wednesday and the day that Charlie passed. So 2 months later, it really filled me with a conviction for love of country, but it really filled me with the Holy Spirit that and all that, the pressure and all the tension and the love of the people in that room and the love for Charlie. And I compared it to, and rightfully so, for these young people, their experience is like Martin Luther King was killed and gave his life fighting for sanitation workers so that they could have a decent living, so they were able to take care of their families in a way where it was decent. And Charlie Kirk wanted wanted young minds to be able to unlock themselves from this academia of that was force feeding them to be advocates to an illiberal policy of that was anti-American, anti-Western civilization. And we have to continue to expand freedom and to remind people how precious this experiment in freedom is. And Charlie knew that better than anybody. He was a living, breathing, brilliant modern-day founding father. And I'm so glad that I was able to tell him that before he passed. And that missing chair, that empty chair, for me, it'll always be Wednesday as well. So I want to send love out to everybody and all those wonderful kids who attended the other day and everybody at Turning Point USA. God bless you and thank you for the honor of having me there.
That's beautiful, Rob. Thank you so much for saying that. Again, I know you got a dash, but we're grateful you made the time. I know you squeezed this in to do this show today, and you're just a good man. You're a good patriot, Rob, and you're full of love. That they're going to tell you that you're a hater, you're fascist, all this stuff. Just keep making us laugh. Keep doing it. We're going to keep asking you to come out and talk to these students, and we just appreciate you, man.
I'll do it, and I'll come sit with you. I want to come in for the whole hour. We'll have a good time.
I love that. Yes, let's do it soon. Let's do it soon.
Thank you, Mike.
I know how to get a hold of you, so that's good. All right. Thanks, Rob. God bless you. All right, I got to play this clip here. This is the police chief at UC Berkeley. I believe we got it loaded. Yeah, we do. This is a police chief at UC Berkeley, Yogananda Pittman. Yogananda. You can't make this stuff up. She used to be a Capitol Police officer in charge of intel. Let me fact check that in just a second, but we'll play this clip. And she is like all in on the DEI stuff. So she went from Capitol Police, probably during J6, over to UC Berkeley and became their police chief. Play cut 257.
When I started with U.S. Capitol Police, there were zero, as in no persons of color and no women in leadership positions. I wanted to be a change agent, not only for my organization, but for the profession. I didn't want any women to have the experiences that I had when I was oftentimes sitting in a room that was occupied by only white men.
Okay.
Mikey, you got your answer. You want to point the finger somewhere, talk about, well, you know what? I think that's why they were rioting. There were not enough Black, Indigenous, trans police officers on site, and therefore they were upset about it, and therefore that's why they rioted. That's clearly what's happening.
Yeah.
Well, check this out. So she's the chief of police at UC Berkeley now, Yogananda Pittman, and she was in charge of intelligence for the U.S. Capitol Police before and during J6 and became acting chief. And then, apparently Chief Sund from J6 said that she failed to warn of planned J6 violence.
Jeez.
So look at this. All the weird connecting dots. Throw her picture up there if you could. Just keep it up there, because...
Well, so it really is like an institutional thing. We talked a little bit about the UC Davis attack when they broke all the windows. And yesterday on Turning Point Tonight, we lit up Gary May, who's the chancellor over there, who before that event put out a video saying, hey, by the way, I know we all hate these people, but we're legally obligated to have them on campus. What would have been a correct response is, hey, by the way, we uphold the culture of free speech at this university. He didn't need to say we agreed with them. He didn't need to say anything other than this is going to happen, but instead said, all of you people that your feelings are hurt that these people here, I agree with you, and unfortunately my hands are tied by the law and I have to let them speak. This happens every single time we go to a UC school. UCLA was the same way. They had some weird list that you had to be on like a week in advance so that you can get into the event, and that's why the event was half full because they stopped everybody prematurely from coming to the thing. And it's a systematic problem specifically at the UC schools, and it seems to be evidenced by, at least in part, the DEI police chief they've got over there.
Well, excuse me. I don't mean to. It's that bad. It really is. All the dots connecting. And these schools, they do sabotage our events. It's very active how they sabotage. Next up, we have Allie Beth Stuckey. Allie Beth Stuckey from The Blaze. Conservative millennial, I think is how she is her handle. And we're going to talk. And we're going to also bring in Andrew Cipher. We're going to talk about how we plan these events and what we have coming up soon. There's going to be a couple of surprises coming up. We'll be right back.